Okay, time for the player ratings. This is just so good. This is so good to be talking about a win, a famous win. I think overall last night, I said this in my review, overall last night I felt like there was an even contribution around the ground. We had our stars at the top level, but you look at those bottom six players of ours, and there were some players, and we'll get to them, low possession numbers, but I did see an intensity, and it was important to watch the replay. The replay allowed me to strip it back and really see what some of these guys did. So, anyway, as always, these are subjective. The purpose of the video is to just sort of give my point, place it to you. I want to ask you what you thought, and really just generate some discourse here. And there's no right or wrong. So the idea is to talk about it and really bask in what was a fantastic win. So let's start in the back line. Plowman, Jones and Doherty. Plowman, I thought Lockie Plowman was outstanding last night. I thought the way he set the tone early. I even spoke about it in the preview about how the 2018 game against Geelong, he played really well down there. I remember it. And I thought he set the tone early. He was fantastic. He was outbodying his opponents. He brought a seriousness to him. Maybe there was a few smiles going on that we didn't see, but every time I saw him, there was a real intensity to him, and that's all you can ask for from him. He made some errors. They all do at some point in the game, but it was important to set the tone early for everyone, and I thought he definitely did that. You've got to give the kudos where it is. I'm giving him an 8 for his game. I was really happy with him last night. And hopefully he can use that and springboard there, and that's for all the criticism he cops, it's probably because of what he did last night. He's got that in him. So I'm giving him an 8. Jonesy, I thought Jonesy battled. I thought he was solid for us last night. Some of these aerial contests, and there's just a real aura about him and the way he attacks the footy, and I thought he did the same last night. I'm going to give him a 7 for his game. I thought he was solid. Doc. It's so easy to forget, where he's coming from and the journey that he has been on. This is his third game back from, missing 2 full seasons of footy. He's got improvement in him. I can see in some of the contests that he, goes into, I can see that, he's being smarter about the way he approaches them. Now, is that going to go away? Maybe it will. But yeah, you can just sort of tell he's not thinking about the knee, but he's just thinking about how to land, and it is important because we can't afford to lose him again. But I thought his game was outstanding. He had the 9 marks. He just patrolled things. You've got to get the ball in his hand. He makes good decisions by foot. He's able to penetrate by foot, in areas that not many can. Whether it's a long kick or a short kick or he can put some height on it, but he can also keep the ball quite low with his long kicks. I'm giving him, I thought he was one of our better players. I'm going to give him an 8 for his game last night. And as I said, there's room for improvement in his game last night, and it's going to come. We've got to let him play a full season, and then we can start talking about elevating, further than what he was prior to the injuries. So stoked with what I saw from him. Half back line, Samo, Wiedering and Simo. Sam Petrevski's sit, and he wasn't at his best. I didn't feel like he was at his best. He had the 9 touches, and this isn't about possession tally equaling a great game. I just didn't feel like he impacted as much as what I know he can. He brought the tackle pressure. Everyone brought that pressure. He did have the 1 tackle, and it's just, I'm looking at his game as a whole, and I'm seeing what I know he's done and what I know he's capable of, and what I saw last night. And I thought he was pretty down on his overall output and for what he does. Now, whether there was a role there that we're not seeing because we're limited due to the broadcast, I don't know. But just looking at the raw numbers and what I thought I saw with my eye, I didn't think he was fantastic last night. I'm going to give him a pass mark. It's a 5. Obviously, when you win and you play a role, it's a different conversation. But yeah, I think there's and this is a positive because we know that he can improve, and there's a few others that played last night that can play a lot better than what they did. And so we've just got to be able to, get that out of him. But that's how I saw Samo's game. Jacob Wiedering, as we spoke about early in the week, not worried about him. Not worried about him losing his head. Not worried about him, losing his battle with his opponent, on a severe level. Tom Hawkins did kick the 2 goals last night, and that's okay. 1 or 2 against these brilliant forwards you're going to take. It's just the ability for him to continue to compete, and he was outstanding last night. I thought, again, we talk about the body work. There was a passage of play in the first quarter where he set up a long kick inside 50 to Levi Casbolt, and I want to see more of that. He had 12 kicks last night. All of his possessions were kicks, and I just want to build off that, because I think the longer his career goes on, the more we're going to be able to see that offensive flair of his, particularly by foot. So yeah, I'm giving Jacob I'm going to give him an 8 last night for his game. I thought he was very, very good last night, and he continues to really make us proud. Simo's next. Simo, yeah, he played a different role. He sort of pushed up on the wing a little bit, didn't get a lot of the ball, and for someone that's playing up on the ball a little bit more, he was on the wing. He did float across halfback as always, but yeah, I didn't feel like he got the ball. I remember this happening last year and the year before. He needed a few games to get into it before he started getting into that groove of the season. I get the feeling we're seeing a little bit of that from him. He's just not at his absolute sharpest, and it might be a few games. Obviously, what he's doing for us on the field that we can't see on the broadcast is a lot of the communication, a lot of the talk, a lot of the setting up behind play, and obviously that can't be understated. But yeah, I did feel like in some of the contests it was just a little slow, and he'll get there. I'm sure he'll have his patch where it all gets, the continuity comes, and he's backing it up week in and week out, and he's a veteran who has been in this caper for a very long time, and I'm just glad that he didn't lose last night and have that horrible record of being the most losingest player. But yeah, I'm going to give Simo I'm going to give him a 6 for his game, because I know that he can perform better than that, and I do want to be able to see that. Next up, we've got Murph, Cripps, and Walsh. Murph, I thought Murph was really good last night. It was a different role. He actually started the game on the half back line, and then the first goal that we kicked, that is the prime example of how I personally, I don't know about you, but that's how I want to see us use Mark Murphy. He's got to be that last kick inside 50 in space. We work to his strengths. He had the 11 touches in the end. He kicked the 2 goals, more importantly, and I'm much more happy with him having that sort of output with his possession tally and his impact, compared to him having, similar to last week, 24 touches, and maybe not impacting the way he did. He hit the scoreboard. He was in the right position. We did play to his strengths. There is a level that he can definitely play better at. He did lay one tackle. I would like to see him lay a few more. I thought last night was an opportunity for him to really, just repay the faith in a sense, and really, bring that heat. We'll get there. Obviously, he did a lot of other things that were fantastic for us, and I did enjoy his game last night. I'm going to give him an 8, because I thought he performed his role, and he performed it at a pretty high level. Cripps was, he responded. Obviously the criticism last week was captain's got to be able to kick these goals, and he kicked the goals that he needed to kick. He had the 24 touches, the 5 tackles, kicked the 2 goals. The clearances was at 12, contested possessions at 17, and he's the bull. There he was last night. The Dangerfield matchup was there, and I thought he came out of it the better player out of the 2 of them personally, and it's great to see. I thought he really rose to the occasion. There is having said that, there is an element of his that I want to see a little bit more just composure. I felt at times it was more of and maybe this was a directive from the coach to just get the ball moving forward and gain territory. But I thought some of the kicks, have room for improvement, and it'll come. But you can't criticize him too much. I thought he was one of our best players. I have him as our second best. I thought Pitternet was our best, and we'll get to him. But love the response from the skipper. I'm going to give him a 9 for his game last night. Walshy's next, and Walshy's going through some challenges. He had the 12 touches. What I can see from him last night was running across the ground, no problem. When he's in the link-up play, not an issue. He knows what he's got to do. I think he's rushing his kicks a little bit. He doesn't have that composure, whether it's pressure he's putting on himself, whatever it is. There's just an element of get it on the boot and not think it through. And again, it could have been a directive last night to just get the ball moving forward, but I'm seeing a bit of a trend over the first 3 games where he's just rushing it. And again, is it the pressure he's putting on himself to perform? I don't know what it is, but he's going through some. Welcome to the the AFL. Welcome to the challenges. I back in his character to get through it. Obviously, he's not at his best, but he still did some nice things last night, and he still was able to impact. There's just room for improvement, and the reason I say that is because of what I was able to see last year. So, there's things to work on there, and there's things to work on for all of them. But again, as I said, to be up 42 points in Geelong, obviously we win by 2. There's plenty of room for improvement across the board, and I think Walsh is an embodiment of that. So I'm giving him a 6 for his game last night. It was obviously over a pass mark, but room for improvement for sure. Half forward line, Gibbons, Casbolt and Cunningham. Gibbons, I thought last week was the best game he played for us. I thought last night was even better than that. He elevated to another level. Get this guy on the ball. Said it last week. A lot of the comments and the discourse throughout the week was about getting him more touches on the ball. This guy's a 2-time JJ listed medal winner, trophy winner, I should say. He knows what to do, when to do it. He faded out a little bit, as I guess a few of them did, but he started the game well, kicked his goal, impacted. I thought some of the kicks early were, they were territory kicks, and that's why I think there's a theme here. I think that might have been a bit of a directive in the way we moved the ball forward. We wanted to really get it down as quickly as possible, and I'm stoked with his game. I'm going to give him an 8 for his game. I think I'm being a bit harsh. Might be able to give him a 9, but I'm going to give him an 8. Levi Casbolt, I thought he stood up all night, I should say. I thought he was excellent. We're talking about 11 touches, 9 marks, 8 hitouts, 2 goals. He, contested marks, whatever it was. He straightened us up, and he played a real veterans game. I've got to say, we spoke about our 5 leaders throughout the week, and how they haven't had that success. I thought Levi Casbolt, particularly late in the game, when the game was there to be won or lost, I thought he really stood up, and I'm so happy for him. I'm going to say it until he retires. I'm so happy he's been able to find this, because we persisted with him, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy for his family. It's a great story, and it's a lesson for supporters like myself to just be patient. There is the demanding of performance and effort, and then there's sort of, you've got to wait and let them come into their own career. And I'm just so happy he gets some reward at this point in his life and his career. And I'm going to give him a 9 for his game. I thought he was fantastic. David Cunningham is next. Again, a flashy player who is in and out. Obviously in patches. This is one of those other guys that you can see there's more improvement to come. Wasn't able to hit the scoreboard, unfortunately. Laid 3 tackles, which was good. Good enough. But I do want to see more, because I know he can give more. Some of his kicking was pretty solid last night. And I guess when you see a little bottle of what he can do, you just want a bigger one. So there's something to work with there. I've already named 2 or 3 players now who I feel like can be better. So that sort of goes to show where we can be and how much more we can improve. I'm going to give Cunners definitely a pass mark for me. I'm going to give him a 6 for his game. Full forward line, fast Eddie Betts, Harry Mackay, Mitch Mcgovern. Eddie, he after all the week, obviously disappointment in the game last week, and then that fuckwit on Twitter who, vilified him, and just his ability after the game to just bring this energy and this spark. He's a special guy, and I know that there have been critics out there that say, he was too old, he's past it. We're only going to get a game like this once every 4 games, but look what he's doing. I saw it in the match sim in the preseason. It was like things happen. Magic happens. He creates things. He creates pressure when he's defending. He makes the opposition panic a little bit. When he's got the ball, he can either create for someone. He's patient. He can sell candy, and then he's just got that magic. And, some of the ground level work that he was doing, the pickups off the ground. There was one, I think it was in the second quarter. We haven't had someone with the ability to do that for years. Pretty much since he left, we haven't had someone who can just pounce on a ball like that for so long. That is as good as you can ask him to play. Honestly, I think the amount of possessions, it was 12 touches, 2 goals, 2 tackles, and that's as good as he's going to play. Honestly, I'm giving him a damn 10. I'm not afraid to say it. That's as good as Eddie can play. And the way I do my ratings is I really look at what their best output can be, and I think that's as good as we can get from him. There was this just goal assists, all sorts of things. It was all in there, and what a special guy, and how grateful are we to be able to have him back at the club to finish his career here. I'm sure Geelong feel the same with Gary Ablett, one of their favourite sons, and for us that's Eddie. To be able to have him back and to bring some joy again, and to help Jack Martin develop, to help Cunningham develop, to be able to help these guys develop. And I'm full of praise. I got goosebumps, talking about it. Harry Mackay's next. He's there. He's back on his path. There's a lot of improvement to come. The goal kicking we can talk about. It looks inconsistent the way he runs up for goal, and he might be one of those players who we've got to be able to create chances for him on the run. But having said that, when you have set shots, you've got to be able to convert. But I did think he presented fairly well. He had 3 shots on goal. That's pretty much what you want from a guy like him at a bare minimum. Would like to see him get up the ground and take a few more marks and just be more impactful. But we know that he is behind the 8 ball. That's a reality. We know he's obviously caught up with the break that we had, but he's behind the 8 ball, and I'm just hoping we can persist with him. I'm hoping the supporters can be patient with him, because there are tools there. The pressure will come. He needs to do more than what he did last night, but we know that he is a pillar of the future. So I'm going to give him a pass mark last night, because he still provided a target. He still brought the ball to ground. He still marked quite a few balls. So I'm going to give him a pass mark. I'm going to give him a 5 for his game. But I'm not overly worried just yet. Mitch Mcgovern, listen, I've been wanting to praise him. Obviously I expect, there's a higher standard for Mitch than, I just spoke about Harry. And it's because of what we've done to get him to the club, and the resources that we've invested to get him to the club. And I thought, he didn't get a lot of the ball, but that's okay. Kicked these 2 goals. He was a presence. I really felt his presence last night. There's definitely room for improvement. And, the reality is maybe he's just going to be is it an icing on the cake type player? I don't know. Maybe he's going to be a moments player. Maybe he's not going to be one of these guys who, goes and gets you 15 and your 6 or 7 marks and kicks you 1 or 2. There's an argument to be made that if you're investing that in him, maybe he needs to be giving that. But from what I saw last night, kudos to Mitch. Well done. There was an intensity at the man, at the ball. I think there was a point there where he bumped someone on the boundary line. He should have tackled, but it's coming from an intent to want to hurt, and that's all you can ask for really from these big boys. So yeah, well done to Mitch. I'm going to give him an 8 for his game. Yeah, I'm happy to be talking about him in a positive light, and I want to be talking about him in a positive light, and I want him to build off this as we all do, I guess. Next up, Pitt, Ed Curnow and Jack Martin. I personally felt Pitternet was the best player on the ground last night. He was our best. He brought, we talk about it with Cruiser. You sort of, he makes the team better. Pitternet has a way to do it as well. He's tough. His timing in his ruck taps is impressive. Do I take too much from it because it wasn't a traditional ruckman in Stanley? I don't know. I thought he had a pretty good start to the year and he's been solid, but thought Pitty's ability to sort of, I said this in the preseason against when they played Collingwood, He has that forearm and that strength to just bring it down, and I was stoked with him. We've got one there, someone to persist with, a battler, someone who's really been made to earn it, someone who's come from the Alistair Clarkson culture, and I didn't see this coming. It's such a relief, because imagine it didn't work. We'd be in trouble. And what it does now is, young Tom De Koning, it's going to force Tom De Koning to really have to knock the door down. And it's fantastic for this footy club. I love everything about what Pitternet did. And can he play better than that? I don't think so. I'm giving him a 10. I know the fourth... Actually, no. Yeah, I am. Because overall, it was a win. We know in the fourth quarter, they started to get on top. Radaglia in particular. But, I mean, the body of work across the ground. He fills a hole. He's always at one kick away from the ball. He fills a hole in defence, and he's only going to get better and better. I loved his game last night. Ed Curnow, he played that role on Joel Selwood last night. I thought it was fantastic. We're talking about he did rotate. Having said that, but I thought when he was on Joel Selwood, he really helped nullify him. Played a role, did it well. We don't have to worry about his offensive flair last night, because we knew what he was doing. There was just the hardness and the toughness that we come to expect from Ed, and he doesn't really have 2 or 3 bad games in a row. So I was pleased with him. I'm going to give him an 8, because I could see the role that he was playing for the team, and I'm sure if I was at the game, there would have been a lot more to be able to see from his game. But very pleased. Jack Martin next. Whew. This guy, he's crazy. He's crazy good. He's got an intensity and a will. And I talk a lot about having Mark Murphy as being that last kick inside 50. Jack Martin is that as well. We've added another one there, and a lot of commentary from our fans and other fan channels comes from, we need more players to help bridge the gap between midfield to forward. I think this guy is the guy. I think the game time that he played on ball and around the ball and in the forward line was perfect. I think he's definitely a high half forward guy who is going to pinch hit in that mid. And, when we talk about Geelong and, when they put Ablett in the middle to start the second half, and then when the crunch time came for us, we had Jack Martin in there. That's really where I see him evolving for us. And what a start. What a start to his Carlton career. It's 2 out of the 3 games have been, as good as you can possibly want, I don't expect him to get 18, 20 touches every game, but yeah, he's in his intensity. 5 tackles, including a brilliant one on Ablett where he pinned him holding the ball. So Jack Martin, I'm giving him a 9 for his game. I thought he was outstanding. Interchange bench, Jack Silvani, Willow, Nunes and Setterfield. Jack Silvani, I mean, I saw the video of him dancing and shuffling in the change rooms during the week, and honestly, my initial reaction was, "Oh God, it's not a good image." But listen, when you win, Jack's got a bit of bastard in him, doesn't he? You can tell he makes a point to not go to ground. He makes a point of it. He doesn't let his man take him to ground. It's a trait that his dad had for sure, and he's growing up. Young Jack Silvani is growing up before our eyes. We know he's a role player. That's something we just know he is. The stats don't really do him justice. I do want to see him get a bit more of the ball, just because he's so crafty. His footy IQ is brilliant. There was a passage of play late in the game. There were 3 of them, and he could have gone inboard. He went outboard. He went outside to Eddie, who then kicked it over the top to Murph. It might have been in the third quarter, actually. And again, it was just like when Jack's got the ball, I've got that faith that the right decision is going to be made, whatever it is. So I'm giving Jack I'm going to give him a 7 for his game. Yeah, I thought his role was performed at a high level. Williamson, what a relief. What a relief. He's going to stay in the side. Obviously, what was shattered for Newman, that's a terrible injury and whatnot. But the beauty of having a deep backline, we haven't got a deep list just yet, but a deep backline means that a guy like Willow comes in, and I don't want him out of the side. His intensity, he laid a really strong tackle in the first quarter. I loved it. he gave away the free kick to Joel Selwood, which was an absolute disgrace from Joel, and that set the tone for what Geelong's mindset was. I don't think Joel Selwood's he might be able to draw a free kick with the shoulder and he raises his arm, but that was a flop. And to have Joel Selwood flop like that, but more importantly to have Willow want to give him one, that's what we know he's brought, and I'm just stoked for him. I'm rapt for him. He's on an unbelievable journey as well, and I thought he was okay. That there's obviously room for improvement, but he's willing to have a crack with that kick. He's willing to take the game on. He's competitive, and I'm going to give him a 6 for his game. But I know that there's plenty more to come there, and we're starting to see that 2017 backline again. They're all the same guys again, and it's just interesting. Now that Doc's sort of back in the fold, and he's got Williamson that's had his journey, Wiedering, obviously Plowman, Jones in there. So. Yeah, that's how I saw Willow's game. Jack Noons, and obviously Will Setterfield. Noonsy, I saw he doesn't have the ability to really, in my opinion, obviously. I didn't see a guy that, moving forward and attacking, he's not going to, be a star or do outstanding things. We've got enough of them in the side. He's definitely there for a role. I thought his intensity was there. I saw it last night. I did make a point to watch him and Setterfield closely, and it wasn't until I watched the replay that I appreciated what Noons was doing and just his positioning at stoppages and things like that. And so that's something I've got to be mindful of. Having said that, I didn't feel like it was an outstanding game. It was a pass mark. I'm going to give him a 5 for his game. I still feel like Lachie O'Brien will be able to offer more with that run and penetration with his kick, but hey, I don't know, because I only see things from a fan point of view, and if Noons is in there and he's forcing Lachie O'Brien to have to really elevate himself, then this is what we asked for. So I'm pretty happy with that. And finally, Setterfield, he had the 8 touches, 6 tackles was the most important thing, and upon watching the game last night, my immediate reaction was, he's struggling a bit, I just haven't seen that next level, as I said last week. But I watched the replay this morning, and, if there's one thing that was there, was the tackle pressure. He led the team in tackles. He had 6 of them. And that's okay with me. If you're not going to be able to impact, which we know Will can impact more on a contest, then bring the defensive effort, and it was there. And so you've got to give him credit. You've got to give him credit there, and I'm really happy for him if he can set the standard at 3, 4, 5 tackles a game bare minimum. This is a guy that I envisage becoming a ball, a leading ball winner. He might not be able to get 30 every week, but I can imagine him being that 24 to 26 per game midfielder. That's what I really see in him. So there's a lot of room for improvement there, but I thought he was able to just perform his role. I'm going to give him a 5 as well, as a pass mark. His ability to tackle was what really allowed me to feel like he was a part of the win last night. They all were part of the win, but just that I felt like he really contributed. So anyway, that's me. I've babbled on enough. What about you? More importantly, last week's discussion, and it's my favourite part of doing these videos is to see your view, see what you see, and talk about it. You learn so much when you speak to so many people about what they see, and obviously throughout this week, I obviously did the Carlton people episode with Paul Barbaza. I learnt a lot, and that's what this journey is all about for us as a club, and obviously for me personally, I'm loving the difference in opinion, and it's not an ego trip like what you see sometimes in forums and in groups and whatnot. It's genuinely good discussion. I really enjoy it, and it's something that you should all take credit for. And anyway, let's chat about it. Go the Mighty Blues. Enjoy your week, and plenty more to come. Don't forget, Monday 7 p.m. we'll be in the studio. Whew, it's going to be special. See you there.